Well, now this is a very well-known and effective leftist Marxist organizer in shutting cities down. And now you'll see this video actually goes on for 2 hours, and she is training various people. Craig, you can find this video in different places on the internet. I'm going to get for people to go where they can find it next. I'll do that while we're playing a few more minutes. But I want you to get a sense of how this really flows, because the next part of this is where she's explaining the techniques of how you suit up, how you get helmets, goggles, how you organize and activate, where you're going to go in the city, which parts of the city you're going to take over, how you're going to get the police involved. So start really at 26 and 26:00, 26 minutes into it. And let's go for about 2 minutes there at 26. I think this will be a good part to start in, and where she's really getting going on what the techniques are. And you'll get a feel for just how radical this woman is. Okay, Craig?
Yep. Say when.
Go ahead.
Here we go.
To do everything they can to get the vote out. But what we're doing tonight is sort of like after that vote comes down, and where are we? There's also, as you know, in Shutdown DC has been doing these, lots of groups that are running scenarios. What are the different things that might happen? And, there are, most of them are things that are going to unfold, and we don't necessarily going to know. But there are some clear situations like overwhelming vote, Trump doesn't concede, right? That is a moment where we should go. Again, we'll talk about that at the end. But back to personal prep, whether disaster or in the streets. Here are just two certain things. There's a lot of stuff online. But I never was a person that I was like, just go in my body. But that's not sufficient anymore. We have to protect our bodies, right? Right now, a bunch of the folks that I work with, we're ordering gas masks. I've never ordered a gas mask, but I'm going to get a gas mask, right? There are basic, like simple things to be smart, like what you wear, bringing layers, good shoes, having a watch, But now, do you have a helmet? Do you have your goggles for pepper spray? Are you going to look for padding or any armor? I know people that are buying Kevlar vests. Now, I'm not, again, saying that everyone should do this, but if you're somebody that feels like you want to be in the streets, you're willing to take some risks, you're willing to go to a front line, it's not a bad idea to have some personal protective gear on. So I would get some stuff.
Yeah, let's all go out and get some stuff, Dr. Corsi. Man, she is serious about this.
Worse than serious about it. I think this is revolution. This is a revolutionary approach to it. Now, what they've done is that she also shows how this comes into using the techniques in the Arab Spring. She talks a lot about the whole way you disrupt society, you disrupt business. She's talking about occupying government buildings. She's talking about how you map out and organize a city, and you realize where the points in a city are that you want to disrupt. That's at 55 minutes into it, 55, and play 2 minutes at 55, and then we'll talk about this. But I think you're getting an idea that this is not only a hard left shutdown, but it's a radical plan to disrupt a city, to disrupt a society, and to produce a revolution. So, Craig, at 55, let's play 2 minutes, okay?
Here you go.
So how do you quickly ramp up your numbers wherever you're going to fight so that more people will come? And again, that's what Shutdown DC is doing right now. And it's another lesson we learned when we shut down Seattle during the World Trade Organization. We trained like 3,000 people in a bunch of affinity groups who had a common vision that knew how to throw it down. And then when other people started to come in, it was very easy to absorb them into the plan. because you had these anchor affinity groups. So that, again, is something to think about. Who are your core people? What's your framework for action? How do you get it anchored with trained people carrying the vision? And then how do you create structures for people just joining in the day to quickly get integrated and absorbed into the mobilization? It might be quick orientations on site, quick trainings on site, quick affinity groups, or forming people into clusters, or what I often call flying squads, which is what you see on this screen here. Gathering a group of 50 to 100 people with energy, moving them to where they need to be. That might be a job of your affinity group, right? Pulling a particular neighborhood into a center of power. Again, preparing yourself. Lots of stuff available online. But again, the principles are, what do you need to protect yourself from chemical weapons, projectiles, batons, horses, backpacks with padding, can be padding for batons, helmets for clubs. So all of these things are not some indicator of your militancy or coolness. These are self-protective measures at this point.
So, Dr. Corsi, help me understand. We're looking at side by side in her presentation, and on the right is in English, and on the left it appears to be in Arabic.
That's correct. What she's doing is she's showing how you can take the what's been done here in various countries, the Arab Spring essentially, and apply it to the current situation in the United States. Her point is that Black Lives model is following the the whole color revolution model that the State Department and Soros worked out, for instance, in Ukraine with the Maidan Square rebellion or revolution where they overthrew a government. The whole point of this is to overthrow government. This is to overthrow government. And what she's saying is Black Lives Matter is the beginning of a major resistance because it established for them the infrastructure of radicals around the country and the techniques. Now they want to use the post-election. And in fact, if you reframe your thinking, the Democratic Party was trying either to gain power now with this whole Biden ruse, lying about Biden, saying he was a moderate, when Kamala Harris was going to be the presidential candidate. She was going to be the president. It wouldn't be hard to invoke the 25th Amendment and get rid of Biden in the first few days if they got elected. They're not going to get elected. They're going to get resoundingly defeated. But then the Democratic Party goes into Plan B. It gets rid of all the moderates. So all the Biden people are gone. The Democratic Party now becomes a socialist communist party, and avowedly so. And it gets taken over by Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Tom Perez, Keith Ellison, all the communist radicals that have taken over the Democratic Party. And they start using these techniques that have been developed by Soros, by the State Department, for basically architecting a revolution and how you do it with street violence and how you essentially create a radicalized society which has gotten so much chaos that people capitulate and allow the radicals to take over on their promises of social justice, which they win once and then there are no more elections, because from that point on, they have what they want. They have power. They're never going to allow that power to be in any way shared by anyone. So you have a complete takeover. And that's what this video is about. It's 2 hours long. Now, I really encourage you. We're not going to play the whole thing. We just don't have time to do it. I want to cover some additional parts of this. But the basic idea is that they're going to take over Washington, D.C. This is one of their major plans for after the election. And Trump has, by the way, the National Guard stationed in about 12 different cities. He's done this very quietly and without a lot of fanfare. But the point is the National Guard is out there, and they are going to be in a position to react if, in fact, they try to shut down New York or they try to shut down Washington, D.C. Now, Craig, we also have a shutdown D.C. map. Can you pull that up? I'll begin talking about it, but we had that from last week. Maybe you can find it. We'll show it. Do you want me to send you a link to it?
No, sir. I've got it. I am squaring it away. It'll be up on the screen momentarily.
Okay, now what this is that this is the plan that these radicals are utilizing to shut down DC. And what you have here is tell me when you've got it up, Craig.
It's up.
Okay, so November 4th, day after the election, shut down the attacks on democracy. That's what this is going to be, shutdown attacks. The day after election, we're going to hit the streets to confront the institutions and organizations that have been leading attacks on democracy throughout the 2020 election cycle. We're going to march. We'll march as a big group or a bunch of small marches to the homes of Trump campaign officials who've been plotting to systematically disenfranchise and intimidate millions of voters, to their homes, to the homes of donors and supporters that have contributed to Trump, media organizations that call the election before the vote is counted, and to other ideas you come up with. And what they have here is a map of DC, and every one of these locations is targeted. Little pictures of Donald Trump, those are various organizations that are affiliated with the Republicans or with the Trump organization, including the American Petroleum Institute, National Taxpayers Union, the Republican Club on Capitol Hill, the Heritage Foundation, anything they think is Republican oriented, plus the news agencies. So they're all targeted here. And as well, you've got the targeting going on for the various buildings, Department of Commerce, State Department, the Census Bureau. All of these are mapped out. Now, on November 5, the second day, the plan is to shut down the White House. Okay, so here on November 5, we turn our attention to the White House. We develop the time, tactics, and scale of the action based on the status and the vote count and our ongoing organizational capacity. Possibilities include car or bike caravans circling the White House, symbolic barricades at each entrance, sit-ins at the White House entrances, dance parties at each entrance, blockades of all entrances, blockade several block perimeters surrounding the White House. In other words, they intend to turn this into a carnival of mad leftist violence, destroying Washington, D.C. And then on November 6th, they shut down D.C. And the plan there is to deploy early in the morning to shut down businesses as usual, the nation's capital. Affinity groups will blockade different areas of the district, and specific tactics will depend on the status of the vote count and our organizing capability. And they include blocking the infrastructure, the modes of transportation, blocking and barricading streets, making it impossible to get around D.C., and essentially shutting down the city. That's the shutdown D.C. plan. Craig, what do you think of that?
Comprehensive. It's well thought out from, if you've lost your mind perspective, but I don't think that they are factoring in just what you were talking about, Dr. Corsi, and that is the ability of the president immediately after the election to declare this an insurrection and to use the National Guard and the other government resources, the federal government resources, and to put them completely out of business very quickly.
Well, I think, first of all, Donald Trump, after the election, assuming he's going to win, and I think if people get out and vote in person, and it is as much of an electoral vote success as I think it will be, and we've got Amy Coney Barrett on the Supreme Court. She's going to have to participate in these decisions because Justice Roberts is completely worthless. Somebody's going to have to go over and say to him, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is dead. He should quit listening to the left. They ruled that Pennsylvania, I think, can count for a couple of days. The Supreme Court did 4-4 decision. They left in place that, I believe that's what it was, that the at any rate, in I guess both Pennsylvania and North Carolina, they're going to be able to count votes for some days after the election. Trump is still going to fight that. And I think there's going to be more court challenges of that. Trump is very well organized around all these things. These are known by intelligence agencies in Washington, and they're being followed. First day, if I were Trump, what I'd recommend is that he get the resignation of everybody in his cabinet and everybody in top agencies, and just get resignations on his desk, and immediately take Esper, Department of Defense, and Milley, who's Joint Chiefs of Staff, and get control of the military, because all of these different departments have been packed with globalists who are fighting Donald Trump. Okay, now Donald Trump's well aware of it. We've got the National Guard positioned. New York City, the businesses are all boarding up at Fifth Avenue and the like, because they are expecting this insanity to go on in the streets. My suggestion is, after the election, when Donald Trump wins, and I think we'll gain control of the House and keep control of the Senate for Republicans. And by the way, this is not Republican Democrat. I think one of the things that is shocking the Democrats is the surveying that has been done of these rallies for Trump. A very large number of the people are Democrats who feel that they've been abandoned by the party. They're not communist. In fact, many of the women being surveyed over the weekend were saying that one of the reasons that they are going to vote for Trump is the Democrats are promising more lockdowns. And quite frankly, these women want to get back to work. They want to get their kids in school. So we've got to get these kids in school. Having the kids in the houses, you're producing dysfunctional families. People are increasingly not able to pay rent, not able to pay mortgages. And the amount of economic stress in cities like New York and the New Jersey, where these Democrats rule, Democrats, I think, are going to be hunted down because they are communists. They want control, and they want economic control. They want to raise your taxes. Biden is going on raising your taxes. These are his campaign promises: raise taxes, end hydroxychloroquine, shut down the whole city, and hydrocarbon fuels, no more of those. So you can't have any gasoline. We're going to have wind power. I guess we're all going to put sails on our cars and let's hope the wind blows. And people aren't going for it. Take away the guns, basically increase taxes. And Kamala Harris now is openly communist. Okay, so Donald Trump is going to have to now, knowing he's not going to be impeached, he is not going to have to face re-election. And this is why I think why the left has gone all in, because they know, including Silicon Valley, Jack Dorsey, Zuckerberg, there was a tremendous stock hit on Twitter last week. These guys are going to get clobbered by lawsuits. Section 230 is going to go, and they're going to have a blizzard of lawsuits, and I'll hope to file a few of them myself. But these social media companies are going to be broken up, Google and the others, and the control of the internet by the left, which has no interest in free speech, has no interest at all in the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, no interest in religious freedoms. In New York or New Jersey, you can go protest all you want, but do a Donald Trump caravan and you on the highway follow a Biden bus, and Christopher Wray at the FBI is going to investigate you. So we need to get rid of all the leaders. I'd close these agencies just down and, move the rest of the bureaucracy to Death Valley. The first week I'd have orders out where the bureaucracy is going to be relocated. Get it out of Washington. I want to show you why, and we're going to play the third video today. This is a video that is of the federal employees.
Let's talk about
it got leaked. It got leaked over the weekend. This is a Zoom session, and these are various employees of the federal government who are planning on Zoom how to use their positions in the bureaucracy in order to create a revolution. This is part of the problem. We're going to interview Rich Higgins this week. He's written a new book called The Memo. And in it, he has been making it's a great book. It's a brilliant book. And he's been saying, page 44, we'll interview him about this, but the successful outcome of the cultural Marxism is a bureaucracy state beholden to no one, certainly not the American people, with no rule of law considerations outside those that further deep state power. The deep state truly becomes, as Hegel advocated, God bestriding the earth, their own rule and their own revolution, and they're communists. So, Craig, do you have this one? This is, I think, 5 minutes long. play the first 2 minutes of this, if you would, please. Are you ready?
Yep, here we go.
Let's talk about what actions and decisions are in your immediate sphere of influence as somebody who works in the government.
I'm a management and programs analyst.
I work in the national security community.
I spent 3.5 years as a contractor at DHS HQ.
If you read the mainstream press, like they all have Signal accounts, text them, leak everything you can. The journalists I've dealt with have been super ethical in ways to shield me, to be the source of the leaks.
Groups on the outside being able to show solidarity with federal workers.
Making sure that we're naming what is happening as a coup.
Totally agreed. In the shutdown BC conversations that I've been having, and that's not on the federal side, we also are often saying, like, call it a coup. It's a coup. Don't let anyone tell you it's not.
President Harry S. Truman famously said, "I thought I was the president, but when it comes to these bureaucrats, I can't do a damn thing." So the bottom line with this is that we all, as ordinary people and as federal workers, have power. If masses of people engage in non-cooperation, no ruler can stay in power. Bureaucracy is a really powerful pillar. And, federal workers have unparalleled familiarity with the bureaucratic process. They know how to speed things up. They know how to slow them down. They have access to critical information about policies that are being considered and implemented. They can participate in internal decision-making. They can provide or deny knowledge and expertise that those at the top of the bureaucratic totem pole need. It ultimately comes down to individual decisions and personal choice. Deciding what to do or what not to do is a very personal decision. It's based on context. It's based on your rank, on your tolerance for risk, on your preparation, and frankly, where you sit in the federal bureaucracy.
Wow. So these are, we're sending money to Washington, D.C. in order for people like this to perform their duties on a day-to-day basis, selfless individuals helping run the country, correct?
Yeah, the bureaucrats are vipers. These are the people who organize the gulags. They spend billions and billions of dollars every year, make regulations, make life impossible. They're not in the Constitution. Department of State is not in the Constitution. You don't have a Department of Health and Human Services, a Department of Education, Environmental Protection. Close them all down. We just don't need them. And get rid of their rules. Get government back to the people. Now, what these fools don't really, and by the way, they want to dox anyone who supports Trump. They want them harassed in their homes. They want them pulled out in the streets and sent to thought reform. This is a cultural revolution. This is cultural Marxism. These are not the workers exploited by capital that Marx thought were going to rebel. These are Gramsci, little effete, educated snobs who will organize the gulags before the Kamala Harrises who want to keep all the power and all the money, send them to the gulags. They'll be the last to go. They will go. They don't know it yet. They think this is for social justice. But they are so self-satisfied. They are so smug. We are the power. They're not the power. We don't need them at all. And move the entire bureaucracy out to Death Valley. We won't miss them. Make those buildings into condominiums. Get rid of the Beltway traffic jam. I want to do the same with the universities. We don't need a student tuition loan program. We don't need this many people going to college. Let them pay to go to college and appreciate it. Let the colleges start teaching something other than cultural Marxism. Now, Craig, play the next 2 minutes. I really want people to absorb what the bureaucracy is doing in order to architect this next phase. And I'm saying now it's going to be time for Trump to really get involved with the counterinsurgency here, take control of the Justice Department, start indicting the Biden family, quit indicting Republicans, have justice. Laws were broken. Quit allowing, these people all are dupes of communist China. The cultural Marxism, this is a cultural revolution in a Maoist style. And they are all in the back pocket of Mao's and the China. And these people will happily turn over the United States to China and sell it out thinking they're doing social justice, till the Chinese march them off to the gulag and put them in front of a firing squad. And, by then we'll all have been gone first. Craig, you want to play the next 2 minutes?
Sure, here we go.
We're talking about the range of different tactics. We talk about acts of commission and acts of omission. And another act of commission, albeit highly, risky, and there are a number of great downsides, is leaking. So leaking information about pending or actual policies with journalists, with activists, influential people on the outside. So another act of commission is creating parallel structures or self-organizing units. So organizing in the office place, in the workplace.
As an attorney in the federal government, I am finding the chat suggestions very interesting. And I just do want to remind people that we lose our status as federal employees if we strike.
And there's been a little conversation going on here, for example, about Black Lives Matter and how that is an example of a nonpartisan political statement. I guess that's been previously litigated, but whether or not you do a misdemeanor or an infraction on federal property or on public property really doesn't affect most of the jobs that you would be considered for, just as a sideline note.
Yeah, as an attorney, I think we're highly, that's one of the things we have to be careful about.
I would just say this is also the importance of being in communication with and in touch with groups, civic groups, grassroots groups that are preparing people for the possibility that red lines may be crossed, that the election goes sideways, so everything from choose democracy to hold the line, to shut down, we count on us. I listed a few of those in the slides earlier, but they're the ones who are really in the vanguard of helping people think about, interpret red lines, and think about different actions that can be taken well beyond kind of street protests and demonstrations, but kind of sustained organizing and action.
Wow, so they're talking about red lines, and I think they're using the right color for what they're talking about. Talk about the reds. The reds are here.
These are government employees, national security agencies, federal employee lawyers. Why are we paying these people? They're planning to take over the government. They say we've got to call it a coup. We're going to leak. We're going to dox. We're going to expose anybody who supports Donald Trump. We're going to go in the streets and support Black Lives Matter and the chaos. And I guess, how are we doing on time in the broadcast, Craig? Are we
46 minutes? Okay,
let's play the last minute of this. It's just get this full tape. I think this is the core of where the insurrection, the communists had bought the Obama White House, including Obama. And I'm going to go back to that in a minute. And here you've got a situation where they've also bought the bureaucracy. And these people gave themselves over as willing fools because they've been indoctrinated, inculcated in their minds, brainwashed with this social justice nonsense. And average Americans are saying, no, we're not ready to have our streets torn up. We don't want to take a knee to race. We don't want this equality of outcomes. We don't want redistribution of income. Obama said this openly, and I was pointing this out in 2008. Obama is a Marxist. And he was openly talking then about redistribution of income. Craig, go ahead and play the last minute.
What does it look like in practical terms to put, to slow the gears down in some ways or another?
At the Department of Labor, it takes the form of several rounds of the cost-benefit analysis for a new regulation. And when people were cheating on the numbers, a copy of that draft got leaked to the Daily Labor Report, and it got published and it got sent to a congressperson. And the Office of Inspector General opened an investigation on who was cheating on the numbers. So again, that's sort of a combination of tactics. It's making a really good paper trail. It's making sure that document got out to someone who could make use of it, and then Congress getting the Office of Inspector General involved. It was really a way to stop that thing just in its tracks, and it worked really well.
Let's talk about what
really well.
Yeah, I mean,
these crazy.
They're operational. That's the main thing, that they're operational. Okay, now I'd like to go over to Twitter And we have these ebooks that are free ebooks from Stephen Coughlin. And if we can find his, let's see, I was seeing his Twitter feed a minute ago. I'm not sure I'll be able to find it right now, but he is also tweeting that in Minnesota, there are various plans to go insane, to tear up Minneapolis again. You can expect that the Black Lives Matter and all these leftists are going to be out in the street. And I say, great. If they're going to be out in the street, film them. Let's get video. Let's find out who they are. Let's get ready to go arrest them. Let's indict them under federal laws. This is insurrection.
Okay, I found Stephen Coughlin's Twitter feed. Is that what you want?
Yeah, go down a bit. What is his handle? It's at.
He is
at Stephen
at capital S underscore capital C in Coughlin underscore capital DC.
COUGHLIN.
Correct. Underscore DC.
Yeah, I got it now. I've got it. Okay, so he's basically showing how it's the third one. It was actually one from Donald Trump Jr., where he's citing it, where Donald Trump Jr. is saying a confidential document has been leaked.
Got it.
Been obtained by Breitbart News that says, and here's the Breitbart article. This is really, I guess, the better source to go to. But I want to show you what they're saying they're going to do. Okay, right there. That's the Breitbart article. And this shows that there's a left-wing coalition of groups in Minnesota that are going to do post-election mass unrest while planning to execute wide-scale strategic disruption. Okay, so we're going to have shut down all these actions across the country. And this time around, I don't think Trump has to worry about polls, because Trump is going to win, I think, a resounding, and knowing this is coming, these people are intending to destroy the country. They're communists. It's an insurrection, and they want control. They want the country locked down. They want us to be economically weakened. And I don't think for a minute that that the guy who's in on all of this is Barack Obama. That's for sure. I'm going to show you that in 1 second. But Craig, what do you think of all this? I mean, it's really clear, I think, that we're in for the lawfare. They're going to contest the election. The only solution is have an overwhelming vote, which I see happening, for Trump to repudiate these people as communists overwhelmingly, so that even their lawfare and their vote cheating, their mail-in ballots, all these techniques get repudiated. And I just posted an article here, which is one I want to cover again, because I think that it's pretty clear to me that Obama was in on this. This is an article from citizensmedia.com. Do you see it, Craig?
It's up. It's citizenmedia.news.
And there was a video which was released. And this video showed essentially, I'll see if I can find the video here, because you have a, yeah, here it is. This is the video. There were cameras placed inside the Oval Office. You see the picture there of Obama talking to Hunter Biden in the Oval Office?
I do.
Okay, that was released last week or so, and it was screenshot from a surveillance video in the White House, but it wasn't the official White House surveillance camera, because you will see it, the Obama and Hunter Biden were unnamed. Well, the White House surveillance video would have found Obama and identified him with the video, with the visual, the face technology and the like. But this was done on April 4th. The picture was taken April 4th, 2016. And 3 days prior, President Xi Jinping of China attended the 2016 Nuclear Security Summit with other UN leaders. And Obama was being told here by Biden that there was a $1 billion deal on the table from China if the U.S. would look the other way and allow China to militarize the South China Sea. Before April 2016, the prevailing international issue was this issue of militarizing the South China Sea. But back in March 2016, Xi hastily arranged a meeting on the sidelines of the nuclear summit to discuss, quote, areas of disagreement, including the South China Sea. And basically, China was clearly militarizing the South China Sea, and they wanted Obama to step aside. Now, what this is maintaining, what these people are maintaining, these whistleblowers, is that this was a communist Chinese video arranged in the White House. Okay, and Joe Biden was basically sent in there. He sent in his son to go tell Obama that there's $1 billion deal if they just look the other way in the South China Sea. Within 26 hours after this video was sent out, the reward of $1 billion was received by Hunter Biden's business associate. The actual sum Obama received from the deal was a portion of the $1 billion, and the Secret Service was involved in retrieving the surveillance video that Joe Biden sent to President Xi to make it clear that Hunter had done his job to talk to Obama. The purpose of the surveillance video was clearly to blackmail Obama for the rest of his presidency and the rest of his presidential term. Okay, and then the Gateway Pundit also showed a series of text messages that link Joe Biden and his wife, who were aware of Hunter Biden's activity, sexual activity with underage girls, and also his sexual activity with Malia Obama, the daughter of Barack Obama, President Obama, sex with her. And this whole thing was a compromising CCP has controlled the Democratic Party, including Joe Biden. It's no wonder that the Maoists feel like they can control the streets and can control everything after the election. This is pretty frightening when you think about it, Craig, how close we were to the communist Chinese. In a book I wrote in 2010, America for Sale, the Democrats sold America for money to the communist Chinese, including Obama. Craig?
Right, and I've got those, your two book covers up there. I've got the one America for Sale that you wrote years ago and the Little Red Book of Democrat Socialist Lies. And you've nailed it, Dr. Corsi. And unfortunately, we're in the middle of this, and tomorrow is going to be the critical day. Time for choosing, as President Reagan said, and now it's even a more critical time for choosing. So do you want a communist, tyrannical overseers on top of you and you become slaves? Or do you want to remain free? That's the choice tomorrow.
It's really that simple.